A legendary week this will be. The most legendary week. Nobody else is working this hard right before Christmas, right before New Year's. Nobody else has a game plan for survival for 5 days. Right before Christmas, right before New Year's. Nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is deciding whether or not we're gonna see tomorrow. 5 days before Christmas. That's 10 days. 10 working days. That's us. We're about to give this FD a whole new form. A second form. Third form. Third form, yeah. It's gonna be a third form for this car. Look, there's even parts in the trunk that I forgot about. In addition to the parts that are on the floor over here. But before we get to that, we need to put some closure to what we ended with last Friday. Obviously, Neil pulled through and held it down and loaned us an Elite 2500 just until Chase gets his back from Haltech. And of course, the diagnosis was accurate because it was. But, you know, we all gotta see it. First of all, watch the tack. Boom. Step one, that's how you know it works. This thing ain't been on in a while. So there's that. Most importantly, if we look at battery voltage, alternator works. I mean, 13.4, 13.6, 13.5. There's something. I'm sure once it warms up, it'll get to the full 14, but it's working. Chase is back. The white FD. This is the car that's about to teach us everything that we thought we knew. Josue's about to learn he's about to apply every lesson. All of his experience is going into this car right now. He needs to be efficient. And he needs to be deliberate in all of his actions. He knows what he's doing. Step one, we gotta put the battery in here. So he's working on doing that now. Bins are coming out. While he's working on the battery relocation, that is the priority for today. Battery relocation done is the longest part of this entire process. I'm gonna be up here taking everything out forward of the alternator. We're staying sequential. We're going with a radium based fuel setup. So we got radium secondary, primary, we got ID injectors, we got a meth kit that needs to go in here. We're doing coils, so we're getting the IGN kit. We're adding a second oil cooler, which is a lot. Ideally, over these next 5 to 4 videos, it will be overwhelmingly expressed the amount of work that's about to take place and the short amount of time that it's about to happen. This is not something that we do normally, but I think sometimes you have to push yourself and sometimes you have to do things that you don't normally do, you know, to get better. If you always do the same thing and you never push yourself, you really can't improve. So we're only doing this as an exercise, just to make sure that we still got it and that if we needed to flex, we can, but not all the time. And plus, it's like finals for Josue, I guess.
Exam.
It's a final exam, yes, of the year. This is the one for you.
Yeah.
We're doing a bunch of things that you've already done, whether once, twice, or 3 times, using all your techniques that you've picked up throughout the year, so on and so forth. Working on a car that you've worked on a lot, actually. You've worked on a lot of FDs this year.
I have.
Yes, you have.
It's part of working at a FD shop.
Yes, it is. It's probably the main part, actually. So because of that, high chance filming will be scant because really need to focus on this task here. This is all of it. This is a week's worth of work right here. Interior is all the way out. Seats, bins, the whole 9. Sitting right over here. Ready to be modified to receive its new battery right there inside that bin there. Because anybody who relocates their battery requires a circuit breaker. Now there is some, I guess, debate on what size the breaker should be. But using reason and the minor understanding of electricity that I have, this is the correct size. 100 amp. Not 200, not 500, not 1,000. 100 amp. Anyway, so we're using a flush mount style breaker. So what this is going to be is it's going to be mounted inside of here. It would be a nice how-to, but everybody has their own opinion on that as well. So we'll do how we do, you do how you do, and everybody will do how they do. Progress report. We're a few hours in and the sun is still out. And look at all that's done. Battery relocation stuff is basically done. It's as far as it can go for the most part. As you can see, there's the breaker there. Real convenient. From the driver's seat, you can flick that for long-term storage. There's the hole there. The ground is going to go through, and it lines up with the seat belt bolt that of course is unused because this car came with rear bins. There's a plug in there from factory. You just pull the plug out and it reveals the threads. That is a super special thread pitch. It is not your standard metric thread pitch. Engine bay is fully disassembled other than the power steering line. I'm not ready to deal with the leak right now. Headlight is out, of course, because we have to put the second oil cooler in there. Fueling and everything, all the lines. AC lines are out, which was aggravating to do with the ABS in place. And I mentioned to him already, but a battery exploded in here at some point. Everything in here is just corroded because there was battery acid all over everything. Well, since it's as it's apart the way it is, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Clean up all this dirt and stuff. I can't do anything about the paint, but I might just touch it up a little bit just to make it not like that. This is all the stuff so far that's come out. Josue is working now on running the power wire for the battery relocation. We do it the way that we do it because through experience, this is the best way. Like I said before, everybody does their battery relocations different and they have all their different reasons for doing it that way and their theories and so on and so forth. I can say for certain that this way, I think, is the best way to do it. It is a little bit more work, but so are most of the techniques that we do. With the headlight cover off, I just took a peek here. Oh, see, look, just trying to show it to you. Yeah, he needs to get another one of these. I think fueling is going to be the first step because everything pretty much goes on top of that. There's not a great deal we can do about this, but just leaving it exposed like this doesn't feel right, especially since we're this far torn down. So what I did, I went ahead and scraped it off the best I could. All the paint that wanted to flake off, flaked off, and I sanded it and all that kind of stuff. So it's all prepped. It's nice and clean. I'm just going to color it, put it like that, so that it's just not raw, exposed battery acid rust. Once the intercooler and radiator and everything else is in, it's not going to stand out that much. And it's just that box there. So I think it's going to blend well. Show that battery tray off. Just whipped up a little something. Nothing fancy, nothing exotic.
Oh.
Just a little something to hold the battery down. Here's our battery. If you've never used an anti-grav before, you see how I'm handling it. It doesn't weigh anything. It's really light. The bins are going back together. The wire is loosely ran for, of course, going to the breaker that's on the bin. And this is the path that our wire takes. It goes through there. It comes out through here, which is an unused grommet, and it runs up inside of the car. In here. So that it doesn't have the risk of being rubbed through like this harness does, which we're going to put up, it hasn't been done yet, which we're going to put up above the frame rail, so it's never a problem. But it comes out through here, routes this way. You can see here, it did a little bit of cleaning. It cleaned up okay, but the staining is there. It is what it is. I wasn't expecting to change the world. I was just expecting it to be better. So we got our radium rails, radium inline regulator, radium gauge, which was a mistake. I should have bought the Automotive one. I don't like the radium one because it's hard to read. It's dark and the numbers are too stylish, especially when you install it right on the rail. It just makes it difficult. And then we have our injectors ID because the best. These are your part numbers if you want to use the radium rails and also make up to say 4 to 450 on 93. We do have to convert the factory hard lines over to AN, and we will be doing that with compression fittings. So we got to get down there, cut those with the pipe cutter, put our compression fittings on, and then we can start building our lines. But I'm going to install the rails first on the thing because I want to feel productive. We've reached the end of our first day. our first long day. Bends and the whole rear is back in. Check it out. Boom. Look at that right there. You got the battery, the breaker, it's tied down. We have a boot over top of the positive because we're super cool like that. Clean setup in the back here. Goodness gracious. And this is all accessible. Well, this breaker is cleanly accessible from the driver's seat. You just reach back, click, done. No fuss. Locked in. Fueling is all done. Rails are in, injectors are in, lines are made. I'm really happy with how all this turned out. It looks super simple. It was not. Just factoring in the harness, factoring in the solenoids, because this car is still sequential, factoring in a bunch of things. The lines had to be routed a certain way, and it's kind of annoying. And then, of course, down there, compression fittings are on, converted to AN properly. Josue's doing the last wire now for the battery relocation. Fuse box is mounted as well. Nice bracket situation going on there. It's very rigid. It's not going anywhere. And those are the wires from fuse box to fuse box, and then the other wire is the one that comes all the way from the battery up here to the front. So it is midnight exactly. So we are right on target for today with everything that should have got done. And just to put in perspective, we started at 1 o'clock or so. It's a long day, and only 2 things got accomplished. But those 2 things take a tremendous amount of effort, especially to do them the way that we do them, the way we want them done. Tomorrow's objective: radiator and all of its accessories, which includes the condenser, the RX8 fan assembly, the ready harness for the fans, AC compressor, AC lines, and oil cooler. Ideally, we'll get those 3 things done tomorrow, and then that'll put us right on track for Wednesday to basically be in the final stages of reassembly, which is just basic stuff. This radiator is going to take a tremendous amount of effort. AC lines are going to take a tremendous amount of effort. Oil cooler is going to take a tremendous amount of effort. So only 3 things for 1 full day. So something we mentioned before in a previous video, we use an array of products, and it's not default we use that product all the time on whatever it is. It depends on the application. For example, we remade the wire that goes from fuse box to fuse box, but instead of using this kind of wire loom, which you may recognize it, but this is the nice mesh stuff. Instead of using that for everything, sometimes the application calls for regular corrugated plastic, and that's what we use. For this application here, it makes sense. Factory wire, might as well be a factory wire. Yeah, it's a lot cleaner than the other 2, but it fits the aesthetic of that area. All right, it was a good day today. We did everything we were supposed to do except take our second break. So we only had 1 short break. Well, 1 normal length break. But more hours worth of work. We'll figure it out tomorrow. How you feeling on the first day?
It feels like a normal day.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, though. I didn't even notice it was 12. I thought it was still 10.
You're crazy. I'm ready to leave. My legs hurt. My back hurt. I'm tired. I'm not hungry or thirsty, which is dope. Actually, I am thirsty.
There's a point where you get so tired to where you start getting energized from your tiredness.
Yeah, it's called a second wind. This is why you have to pace yourself. You have to know the mission, know what you're trying to do, and focus on what it is that you're trying to focus on. All right, see you guys in a few hours, our time. But in your time, it's going to be a full day. Congratulations.